Sorry, okay. Your presence today is a strong demonstration of your dedication to our beloved Mother Ghana and your commitment to being a proactive citizen individual who choose not to stand on the sideline, but to be actively contribute to the solution of our nation that we urgently need. Your engagement energized this platform, and I am truly inspired by the collective passion gathered here. So before we proceed and do any official thing here or set the ball rolling, I'd like to call on Pastor Manuel to give us the opening prayer. So right after that, then we'll go on to the housekeeping announcement. Thank you so much. So Pastor Manuel, I hand over the ball to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear sister. Shall we please pray? Father, Lord God Almighty, we thank you so much for giving us such a privilege to come together through this very media to think about the welfare of our country, Ghana, and Africa at large. Oh, Lord God, we pray that you grant us your mercies. We humble ourselves before you. We thank you so much for all the speakers that you've equipped them really to remit knowledge and insight how we can go about our resources in Ghana. Father, forgive us where we've fallen short, areas where we kept quiet and unconcerned, areas where people out of ego, selfishness, and greedy have really jeopardized our resources. Lord God Almighty, we pray that these very voices that we're going to hear today will have a great impact on our continent in Ghana. We commit our government and the chiefs and the entrepreneurs and the citizens unto you. Give us a humble heart to change our mind and attitude for us to leave a good legacy for today's generation, the future generation. Father, you created mankind to live in the garden, to work out of it, and see to it that everything gets well. Today, the creation finds itself in futility. It finds itself under the bondage of corruption, groans, and also labors even to the birth of pangs. We pray that have mercy upon us, forgive us. And we pray that this very platform or conference will not be 9-day wonder, but we're going to keep on speaking. We don't want to be only hearers and talkers. Help us to be applicants, to set good example. Start with us so that it will extend to our continent, Africa, especially Ghana, where illegal mining has caused a lot of mess and destruction, of which a lot of people are falling sick, having incurable diseases and sicknesses. Lord God Almighty, come and bless our conversation. We thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you for each one of us. This we ask in Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor Manuel, because I think you have really kicked the ball rolling with that powerful prayer. So without much ado, I'd like to quickly go straight onto our housekeeping. So I'll do it snappy. So please join with your real name to help us engage with you properly. Each participant should feel free to share questions or thoughts using the chat box. Technical team will keep your microphones muted when you are not speaking. Unmute only when invited to speak or during the interaction section. Turn on your cameras if your internet connection allows. By so doing, it helps everyone to stay engaged and connected. And then be respectful in your comments and interaction. Avoid interrupting others. Use the raise of hand feature if you want to speak. No abusive language, personal attack, or discriminatory remarks. Then use the chat for general comments or share resources. So when I say resources, I'm talking in terms of if you want to share some links to materials regarding our conversation. And then this session will be recorded, and it is currently being streamed live on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And then keep your contribution brief so everyone gets the opportunity to speak or contribute. Now that we are done with the housekeeping, I would like to, first of all, indulge your permission to allow me to introduce our founder and president of IGA to give us the opening remarks. So, President, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny, for the great work. Thank you, everyone, for joining the meeting. I would like by acknowledging the presence of Reverend Manuel, my senior pastor, and all the panelists or speakers who are already present to give us insight into whatever we are looking for today. Dear esteemed participants, distinguished guests, and fellow advocates, I am deeply honored to welcome each of you to the 2025 Environmental Conference on Illegal, Irresponsible, and Reckless Mining, organized by the Institute of Governance, Ethics, and Religion, Africa. This gathering is not merely an event, it is a vital step towards transforming our continent through our shared commitment to ethical leadership and sustainable governance. As we convey here today, we recognize the illegal mining, known in Ghana as galamsey, poses one of the most pressing challenges facing our nations. Its impact extends far beyond environmental degradation. They affect the lives of individuals, families, and entire communities. Reckless mining practices jeopardize public health, destroy ecosystems, and threaten the very fabric of our societies. We are called to confront this urgent crisis with integrity, compassion, and the determination to find effective solutions that uphold our moral principles. Reflecting on our existing legal frameworks, particularly the PNDC Law 153, Mining Act of 1986, we must recognize critical gaps that have left us vulnerable. First of all, inadequate enforcement in this act. The act lacks sufficient mechanisms for effective enforcement, allowing illegal operations to proliferate without fear of repercussions. Secondly, limited community engagement. There is minimal involvement of local communities and chiefs in decision-making processes related to mining, which fosters disconnection and undermines sustainable practices. In addition, insufficient penalties. The penalties for violations of the Act are often too lenient, failing to deter illegal mining activities that pose significant health and environmental hazards. Finally, corruption and lack of transparency. Weak institutional frameworks have led to corruption, undermining the intent of the Act, and creating opportunities for illegal miners to thrive without accountability. These shortcomings illustrate a failure to adapt our mining laws to the rapidly changing landscapes of mining practices and environmental policies. We must critically assess our strategies and find ways to enhance law enforcement, foster community involvement, and promote alternative livelihoods that do not depend on reckless mining. This reality is not unique to Ghana. Across the globe, countries such as Brazil and Philippines and part of the West Africa continue to suffer from the consequences of irresponsible mining practices. These nations face severe environmental degradation, loss of biodiversity, and health crisis stemming from mining-related pollutions. The benefit that government derive from mineral revenues often lead to weak approach in addressing these punitive practices. Tax revenues and foreign investment from mining sectors can create a cycle of reliance where governments prioritize economic gains over environmental protection and social responsibility. At Eager Africa, we envision a future where ethical leadership and good governance are the cornerstone of Africa's progress. Our mission is to inspire and empower leaders, institutions, and communities to embrace transparency, accountability, and inclusive dialogue. We firmly believe that by bridging divides and promoting interfaith harmony, we can unlock Africa's potential and create a continent of prosperity, peace, and social justice. This conference serves as a platform to foster collaboration among policymakers, health professionals, environmentalists, and civil society leaders across Africa. Together, we will delve into the ethical dimensions, health repercussions, and environmental degradation caused by reckless mining practices. Importantly, we will explore actionable solutions, strategies rooted in research, education, and advocacy, together with community engagement. Now, more than ever, we must take a decisive action. We must advocate for robust legal reforms that strengthens the Mineral and Mining Act, ensure effective enforcement, and promote local participatory in governance in mining decisions. We must amplify the voices of our communities and integrate their insights into sustainable practices. As we embark on this journey together, let us remember that our collective efforts are not just about addressing immediate concerns. We are here to sow the seed of sustainable future, ensuring that the principles of integrity and responsibility guide our actions for generations to come. I therefore urge each of you to engage actively, share your insight, and collaborate for a cause that affects us all. Together, let us build a movement that not only challenges the status quo, but also champions the values that will shape Africa's destiny. Thank you for being here, for your commitment to change, and for your relentless pursuit of a better tomorrow. Let us chart a course towards a future where ethical leadership paves the way for transformative and sustainable development across our beloved continent. Together, we can make a difference. The difference is now. It is your voice, it is my voice, it is our voice, and it is a collective voice. Let the discussion begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, for that insightful remarks. And maybe a few words that I captured at the tail end of your presentation is we targeting ethical leadership and making a difference. So I'll continue with a short biography of each of our speakers, honorable speakers, and then I will run through the program with all of us, and then we know what is expected of us. So with your permission, I'd like to, because this time I'm not going to do one and then introduce the other. I'm going to introduce all the three at the same time. So I'll start with the profile of Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso. Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso is a well-respected global leader with over 40 years in Christian ministry and executive leadership. He is a senior Reverend Minister, an author and motivational speaker. Also, he is the Pentecostal World Fellowship Ambassador. He was the president of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, the largest Christian body in Ghana, the past chairman of the Ghana Evangelism Committee, and recently, August 2023, was the General Superintendent of Assemblies of God, Ghana. As the immediate past General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God, Ghana, he set up the Vision 3000, which helped the church to successfully plant 3,000 local churches within 5 years. Thus, he was able to mobilize churches strategically and reposition them to be one of the key Christian organizations in the country. Reverend Professor Frimpong Manso instrumental leadership led to the construction of an ultra-modern head office complex for the Assemblies of God, Ghana, initiated the pastors' welfare policies and systems, revitalized prime insurance company for it to be among the leading insurance companies in Ghana, amongst other development projects for the church. For the national duties, he served as the board chairman of the National Commission of Small Arms and Light Weapons and was a member of the National Board of the Trustee for the National Cathedral. Additionally, he was a member of Eminent Advisory Committee of Electoral Commission. Professor Paul has equally been influential within the corporate world by serving on over 20 corporate board, including financial institution. Professor presently is the board chair of the E-Transact Ghana Limited and the board chair of Kwamanan Rural Bank PLC, the council chair of Trivios University for Biomedical Science and Technology, as well as the council chair of Christian Council University. Also, he is a board of the Henry Dagban Memorial Foundation, to name but a few. Currently, he is the founder and president of Frimpong Manso Institute, a Christian think tank organization seeking to transform persons and society through apolitical, faith-based, factual, and ethical intervention. Professor is in the ministry and theology from the Global University Springfield, MOUSA. He holds a PhD in theology from the University of Wales, UK, an honorary doctorate from the Pan-African Theological Seminary, Clergy Council, a Master of Arts from the University of Sheffield, a Cambridge Diploma of Religious Studies from University of Cambridge, UK, and many other qualifications. He is married to Reverend Mrs. Gladys Frimpong Manso, a seasoned ordained minister of the Assemblies of God, Ghana, and they are blessed with 4 adult children. Reverend Professor Paul Frimpong Manso has and still travels extensively to preach, teaching in Bible colleges, as well as to speak at conferences and seminars globally, such as the one we are currently holding. So without much ado, I'd like to go to our second honorable speaker. That is in the person of Dr. George Manful. Dr. George Manful is an environmentalist and climate change expert with more than 3 decades of experiences in national, regional, and global policy processes. He holds BS honors in chemistry and MS in environmental science and an MS in pedology and PhD in environmental technology. Dr. Manful began his career as Ghana's Environmental Protection Authority, where he worked for 17 years and rose to become the Director of Operation. In his role, he oversaw regulations of the mining and manufacturing sector, as well as environmental impact assessment and permitting and pioneered the agency's work on climate change. He became a veteran negotiator under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, serving as vice president of the UNFCCC Conference of Parties, COP Bureau representing Africa. He subsequently joined the UNFCCC Secretariat in Bonn, Germany, where his responsibilities included heading the Global Environmental Facility Liaison Unit, leading a capacity building for developing countries, and serving as senior advisor to the executive secretary. Dr. Manful later served as at the headquarters of the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, as senior program manager for climate change. managing global enabling activities, and providing technical and policy support for more than 70 developing countries, and preparing national communication, greenhouse gas inventories, and vulnerabilities and adaptation assessment. He has also contributed to key guidance materials on national communication and capacity building, including a chapter on capacity building to implement the climate innovation in Africa in the Cambridge University Press volume, Climate Change and Africa. Since 2015, Dr. Manfo has worked as a senior consultant and senior climate change advisor to the Ministry of Energy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, supporting the creation of National Climate Report and Carbon Management System, whilst continuing to advise UNDP, UNEP, and UNFCCC and ECOWAS on climate policy and capacity building. He remains closely engaged in Ghana's climate agenda, providing expert support to national greenhouse gas inventories, biannual updates report, and national communication. Dr. Manfo is widely recognized across Africa as a leading voice on climate resilient environmental governance and the impact of extractive industries. In recent years, he has been an outspoken advocate on environment and public health risk of illegal small-scale mining and mercury pollution of river, frequently engaging the media and policy makers, and serving as the thematic chair of environment and sustainability at the Frimpong Manso Institute, a committed Christian and family man. He also served as a deacon at the Glory Chapel Assemblies of God, Ghana. I thank you for the second, and now I move on to the third resource person. That is in the person of Dr. Charles Sego Moses. He is a medical doctor from Ghana. He has over 37 years experience in clinical medicine and public health. He worked for Ghana Health Service prior to joining the World Health Organization in 2002 and worked in 7 countries. He has served as the WHO representative in a number of African countries, including Eritrea, the Gambia, Namibia, and Tanzania. He currently retired from WHO on the 30th of May this year. He is a fellow of Ghana College of Physicians and an infectious disease fellow of University of Virginia School of Medicine, Charlottes Valley, Virginia, USA. He has MS from University of Maastricht, the Netherlands, and Masters in Public Health from the University of Leeds, UK. He had his initial medical education from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi, Ghana. He has been married to Dr. Isabella Sego Moses for 35 years, and they have 2 grown-up children. Thank you so much. With this heavy portfolio, I would like us to have another session because we want to go strictly to agenda that we have for the day. So for us to have personal encounter with our renowned speakers, we will break into breakout rooms where each speaker, so we'll have 3 breakout room sessions. So subject to the portfolios that I've just read to you, you go into these rooms and then you state your expectation. So our speakers will state their expectation for today, and then participants will also state their expectation. And we intend to use 5 minutes to do that, and we'll come back. And immediately we come back, then we'll have Professor Reverend Frimpong Manso speaking on ethical, religious, and moral dimension of illegal mining. So technical team, can you please set the breakout room session now? Thank you. Yeah, it looks like we came back more earlier than we expected. So I'm sure you can still type in your expectation in the chat box. So without much ado, I'd like to call on Professor Reverend Frimpong Manso to give us a keynote on ethical, religious, and moral dimension of illegal mining. And you have 30 minutes to do this delivery. Thank you so much. So I hand over to you, Professor.
Thank you, and God bless you. I'm grateful for the Thank you, and God bless you, Genevieve, and everyone on this platform. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be given to share with my colleagues, and I thank the Founders Institute, IGER Africa, and the team for contacting me and the FMI group to be part of this. Galamsey is something we have fought for over the years. And to get somebody who has got the same vision and passion to fight with us, it gives me the hope. And it makes me believe that we can, together, we can solve the problem. My assistant, Mercy, will share some of the thoughts on the platform, or I think IGR team will share. So as I speak, you keenly follow the screen. I'm talking about the origins, impacts, and ethical dimensions of illegal mining. The origins, impact of the ethical dimensions of illegal mining. Chairperson, distinguished guests, honorable traditional leaders, representatives of government, civil society, the media, fellow clergy, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, as we say. I am deeply honored to deliver this keynote address on the matter that is both urgent and profoundly spiritual, the ethical, religious, and moral dimensions of illegal mining in Ghana. Our gathering is not merely an academic exercise. It is a moral summons. Illegal mining, what we popularly call galamsey, is tearing at the moral fiber of our nation, poisoning our waters, destroying our farmlands, and deforming the conscience of our people. Today, I wish to reflect with you on the history that brought us here, the moral breakdown we are witnessing, and the hope that still exists if we will embrace ethical leadership, community responsibility, and genuine renewal. A brief history of mining in Ghana. Ghana did not suddenly become the gold country in the 21st century. Long before colonial powers arrived, the people of this land were engaged in the gold trade. Our ancestors mined gold in measured ways, trading with the North African merchants and others, yet doing so with a framework of communal values, taboos, and customs. Mining was not just an economic activity, it was embedded in the worldview of that regarded land as sacred and life-giving. In pre-colonial times, land and its resources were understood to belong not only to the living, but also to the ancestors and the unborn. Chiefs were custodians, not owners of the land. Certain rivers and forests were revered, and there were days when farming, fishing, and other activities were forbidden. Whether or not every detail of customs was perfect, the underlying principle was mindlessly exploited. I want to repeat this statement. The earth was not to be mindlessly exploited, of course, as we see today. With the coming of the colonial rule, however, mining became heavily commercialized and externalized. Gold was extracted on a massive scale, primarily for the benefit of foreign powers, with local communities often marginalized and dispossessed. This period introduced patterns of exploitation, injustice, and environmental disregard that have left a lasting imprint on our national psyche. Mining shifted from being a resolute communal stewardship to a source of distant profit, often with little concern for the people and the land from which that wealth was taken. So it became something that benefited our colonial masters rather than those who owned and possessed it colonially. Today, as we speak of illegal mining, we must recognize that we are not dealing with something entirely new. We are confronting a distorted continuation of this history in which profit is prized above people and short-term gains are valued above long-term sustainability. I want to repeat this. Profit is prized above people and long-term gains are valued above long-term sustainability. 2, moral breakdown and the rise of modern galamsey. How did we move from cultural restraint and communal stewardship to the reckless party and political interference have all played their part in
Professor, if you can hear us, I think we cannot hear you. So maybe if you can position yourself to another location.
Greed,
as I think as we can all recognize, I think we are having some technical challenges. So the person who is showing us the slide, if you could maybe show us the next whilst we get ourselves acquainted with those points before he comes back and join us. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
I'm sorry
Don't worry.
for any inconvenience. The moral breakdown, I was, I think, let me go back.
You were on the moral breakdown and rise of Galamsey.
Yeah, the moral breakdown and the rise of Galamsey. I was talking about greed. Greed,
Yeah.
the desire to get rich quickly with minimal effort, has taken deep roots in the hearts of many. Young people see images of overnight wealth and are tempted to risk their lives in abandoned pits and polluted rivers. Some business people, traditional authorities, and public officials who ought to be custodians of our values have instead become beneficiaries of this greed, taking bribes, granting illegal concessions, or turning a blind eye to the wrongdoing. Second, poverty and unemployment. In many rural communities, opportunities for decent work are limited. When a young man or woman is confronted with the choice between slow, uncertain income from farming and quick cash from galamsey, the temptation is strong. Poverty does not excuse wrongdoing, but it makes people more vulnerable to
Mm.
exploitation. When political actors protect illegal miners, when the law is selectively applied, when those who are supposed to enforce regulations become compromised, the message is loud and clear. Wrongdoing is acceptable. So long as it benefits the powerful, over time, this erodes trust in governance and normalizes corruption. In the process, we have witnessed a tragic loss of communal stewardship values. The idea that this land is for children and our children's children has been overshadowed by let me benefit now, no matter the cost. Where once communities will defend their rivers and farms, some now collude in their destruction for short term gain. This is not only a social crisis, it is a moral and spiritual breakdown. The role of faith leaders in addressing the crisis. In such a time, faith leaders cannot remain silent. Our calling is not only to prepare people for heaven, but also to help them live responsibly on earth. Illegal
Yeah.
mining is not an economic or technical issue. We should not prepare people only for heaven, but we should also prepare them live responsibly on earth. Illegal mining is not just economic or technical issue. It is a moral, spiritual issue that demands a prophetic response. First, we must raise a clear moral voice against corruption and environmental sin. Destroying rivers, forests, and farmlands for selfish gain is not just bad policy, it is sin. It is a violation of God's command to till and keep the earth. It is a failure to love our neighbor, especially future generations who will suffer for our carelessness today. When we poison the river that gives life to a village, we are committing a moral offense, not only against the people, but also against the Creator who entrusted that river to our care. Faith leaders must therefore preach, teach, and counsel clearly on these matters. We must move beyond vague statements and name the issue. Bribery, illegal concessions, destructive mining, and the use of violence to protect illegal operations are all incompatible with genuine faith. If we bless those who destroy our land while we condemn those who sin in more respectable ways, we are guilty of hypocrisy. Second, we must help to rebuild the social conscience of our communities around the idea of stewardship. The earth is the Lord's, and we are caretakers, not owners. I want to repeat that. The earth is the Lord's, and we are caretakers, not owners. When our people understand that they will give account to God for how they treated the land, the water, and the community, it changes how they view Galamsey. This teaching must start from the pulpit, the classroom, and the family altar. Community responsibility and ethical citizenship. Government alone cannot solve the Galamsey crisis. I want to repeat that. Government alone cannot solve the Galamsey crisis. Communities must rise up as ethical citizens and responsible stewards of their environment. Parents and families have a critical role. What values are we teaching our children? Are we raising them to believe that success is measured only by money and material possessions? Are we teaching them that true success includes integrity, service, and respect for God's creation? If a child grows up hearing parents praise those who make it through dubious means, we should not be surprised what the child follows, that the child follows the same path. Our youth, especially, need guidance and mentoring. Many of them are intelligent, energetic, and full of potentials, yet they are easily lured into illegal mining when they see no alternatives. Churches, schools, and community organizations must deliberately sensitize young people about the dangers of Galamsey, not only not only to the environment, but to the future prospects and to their spiritual lives. We must.
Professor, please, you have 15 minutes for
Okay.
wrapping up. So maybe
Yeah.
if we can speed it up
Yep.
for us a little bit, we will be appreciative. Thank
Okay.
you.
We must couple this with support for skills and entrepreneurship and alternative livelihoods. Community leaders, include chiefs and opinion leaders, must reclaim their role as guardians of the land. This means refusing to grant land for illegal activity, standing up to those who attempt to bribe or intimidate them, and work with law enforcement where necessary. It also modeling ethical behavior themselves. We cannot ask our youth to be honest if those in leadership are openly beneficial from this. Collectively, we must all join hands to fight it. Religious institutions and are agents of advocacy. I'm trying to run through the salient points. Churches, mosques, faith-based NGOs are uniquely positioned to be agents of advocacy and healing in this crisis. First, we have the capacity to be mobilizing agents. So we mobilize the people and train them. Second, we can engage in advocacy. So we do not only mobilize, but we play advocacy role. Third, we are called to preach peace building and healing. Fourth, pastoral care. A call to ethical leadership and community transformation. At the heart of the issue is the question of leadership. My prayer is that our leaders should be responsible and should be ethical in being part, playing a major role in dealing with this menace that is destroying our community. Finally, Frimpong Manson Institute has emerged as a distinct moral and intellectual voice in Ghana. So you have people like Dr. Manfo, who's will be speaking, Dr. Sego Moses and Professor Ellis. All of them are part of this institute. And one of the things that we are doing is to conscientize Ghanaians and people in leadership that this crisis can be resolved through teaching and advocacy. If we join our hands together, we can win the game. Conclusion. Beloved, Ghana stands at the moral crossroads. Illegal mining is testing our values, our faith, and our future. Will we choose the path of greed, compromise, and silence, or the path of courage, stewardship, and justice? As people of faith, we cannot merely analyze the problem, we must respond. We must repent where we have been silent or complicit. We must commit ourselves to honoring God, not only with our lips, but with how we treat the land He has given us. We must stand with the poor and the vulnerable, whose livelihoods are being destroyed. And we must teach our children that a clean river is more valuable than a quick profit. That our children, that clean river is more than a profit. That our fertile land wealth more than a hidden pit. And that a clear conscience before God is priceless. My prayer is that from this conference, new alliances will be formed, new convictions will take root, and new initiatives will be launched. May our discussions not end in this hall, but flow into our pulpits, our classrooms, our boardrooms, and our village squares. If we are faithful to God, if we are faithful, God will help us to restore what has been broken. May the Lord grant us the courage to speak the truth, the wisdom to act justly, and the compassion to care for both the people and His creation. Thank you, and God bless you. I want to say that my assistant Mercy will share this speech, both the slides and this speech, to the leadership of IGER, so that they can share it to you. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you so much, Professor. You have actually spoken the minds of the organizers that we would not just come here, do the talking and it end. So there's definitely going to be an action after the 2-day workshop. Thank you so much. And one of the things that really struck me more was what you made mention of, is that the heart of the issue lies with leadership and advocacy and healing, and we should all be change agents for this purpose. On that note, I would like to move straight to our honorable second speaker, that is in the person of Dr. Charles Sego Moses, and he is going to speak on health impact of illegal mining and tech solutions for monitoring. So, Dr. Sego, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Chair, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, I'm deeply honored to join you today to speak on a matter that sits at the intersection of health, environment, technology, and national survival. The topic, the health consequences of illegal mining and the technological pathways for prevention. This issue is not abstract to me. It is not something I know only from research papers or conference rooms. In 1991, I was a young district medical officer in charge of the Amansia West district in the Ashanti region. And I witnessed firsthand how environmental degradation translates into human suffering. I saw children with severe malnutrition, communities burdened by borreliosis, and adults with debilitating skin and respiratory diseases, long before Galamsey became a national headline. And later, as WHO country representative in 4 African countries, including Namibia and Tanzania, both mineral-rich nations, I observed how legal regulated mining can coexist with environmental stewardship. And I saw, by contrast, how unregulated mining, as we are witnessing today in parts of Ghana, create a health emergency that is silent, widespread, and deeply destructive. Today, I would speak very plainly. Ghana is facing a public health disaster driven by illegal mining, and it is entirely preventable. In my discussion, I will look at the health burden of Galamsey communities, then how mining chemicals enter water and food system. Thirdly, I will look at the historically cases of mining-related health disasters, and also available modern technologies for health and environmental monitoring. I'll follow this up with comparing Ghana with Namibia and Tanzania, and then I would make some proposals, public health and policy recommendations, and I'll end with a call for action. So let's look at health burden of Galamsey communities. Illegal mining, especially gold mining with mercury, has created toxic zones of human exposure. When we look at mercury poisoning, we have scientific evidence which shows that mercury used in gold processing contaminates air, soil, and water. WHO notes that artisanal gold miners have mercury levels up to 50 times higher than safe threshold. In some Ghanaian mining areas, studies have found mercury contamination in water bodies 20 to 30 times above WHO permissible limits. What does this mean for human beings? One, it means memory loss, tremors, and kidney failure. It means severe fatigue and muscle weakness. It means developmental delays in children and permanent neurological damages. When we look at the respiratory system, in Galamsey communities, people inhale dust, hydrocarbon vapors, smoke from burning ore, and silica particles. And these lead to chronic coughs. Those with asthma, the asthma flares up, silicosis-like conditions, as well as increase in TB transmissions. We also have kidney damage as a major issue here. Repeated exposure to metals, especially mercury and arsenic, cause chronic kidney diseases, which leads to kidney failure in young adults, as well as hypertension. What about the effect on pregnant women and children? This is where the tragedy becomes generational. Mercury crosses the placenta during pregnancy. It also contaminates breast milk, and as a result, babies are born with reduced brain development. They stand the risk of cerebral palsy. Children develop learning difficulties, and they perform poorly in school, and there are behavioral disorders. We also have low birth weight and stunting becoming more common in these communities. In my early years in Amasia West, I saw malnutrition driven largely by poverty and infections. Today, environmental toxins have added a new layer, making maternal and child health outcomes even worse. The question is, how do the mining chemicals enter water and our food systems? We need to remind ourselves that chemical contamination does not stay at the mining site. It moves. The pathways of entry include surface runoffs from mining pits, sediments contamination in river, percolation into shallow wells, airborne disposition onto farms, absorption by crops and aquatic life. This leads to bioaccumulation. The danger is not only present but persistent. Fish in polluted rivers accumulate mercury in their tissues, up to 10 times more than water levels indicate. Crops grown on contaminated soils absorb arsenic, mercury, and lead. Long-term injection leads to slow poisoning, often without early signs. In some communities along Ofin and Pra River basins, researchers have found that mercury in fish is above FAO/WHO safety limits. Arsenic in vegetation exceeding acceptable daily intake levels. The contamination has traveled into drinking water, even communities dozens of kilometers away from the site of the contamination. The third area I would like to look at is to remind ourselves of the historic cases of mining-related health disasters. The fact that what we are seeing in Ghana is not new. Others have walked this path and paid a heavy price. If we look at the Amazon Basin mercury catastrophe, where for decades artisanal mining contaminated rivers of the Amazon, and studies found that indigenous communities with mercury levels 4 times above international safety limits. Permanent neurological disorders were found in children. There was decline in fish species and worsening malnutrition. We have other examples in Indonesia where Minamata-like syndrome indicated that where we had artisanal mining areas in Indonesia, women exposed to mercury gave birth to children with severe developmental defects. Fishermen suffered tremors and vision loss, and whole communities faced irreversible contamination of their environment. So the lesson is clear. Once mercury enters the ecosystem at scale, the damage lasts for generations. Recovering poisoned rivers takes decades, sometimes centuries. Ghana must not become another case study in environmental failure. So, do we have modern technologies for health and environmental monitoring? This is a fourth area I would like to address. Fortunately, we do. Today, we have powerful tools that can help us detect, monitor, and prevent environmental destruction if we choose to use them. We have, for example, drones. Drones can map illegal mining pits, track land degradation, capture real-time footage of active operations, and guide rapid response teams. Some African countries now use drones to detect illegal mining within hours. Ghana can do the same. 2, sensors and real-time water quality monitoring. Low-cost sensors can continuously monitor pH, turbidity, mercury and arsenic levels, as well as biological contamination. And real-time alerts can be sent to district health teams within minutes. Geographical information system mapping can allow us to overlay mining sites with water sources, settlements, health outcomes, as well as pollution patterns. This makes invisible risk now visible. Fourthly, remote testing technologies. Portable devices now allow mercury testing in water within 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Soil heavy meta-analysis can be done on site. Remote reporting to a national environmental dashboard is possible within minutes. Ghana can build a national environmental early warning system, similar to what Namibia uses to monitor uranium mining zones. I would now like to briefly compare Ghana with Namibia and Tanzania, drawing from my personal experience as the WHO country representative in these two countries. During my work in Namibia and Tanzania and other African countries with legal mining, I observed, one, that strong regulation or regulatory enforcement is critical. Mining companies had clear environmental obligations, mandatory environmental management plans. They also had regular audits and community monitoring committees. Secondly, controlled use of hazardous chemicals. Mercury use was regulated or banned. Companies use closed-loop processing system, preventing chemical discharge. Thirdly, effective land rehabilitation. Mining companies could not simply walk away. They rehabilitated land before their closure, restored vegetation, and protected water bodies. Thirdly, effective land rehabilitation. Mining companies could not simply walk away. The fourth point is that lower community exposure. As a result, level of mercury in water and fish were significantly lower. Mining towns had better health outcomes than comparable Ghanaian communities. Environmental surveillance was integrated into district health systems. In Ghana, the scale of illegal, unregulated activity had overwhelmed our environmental defenses. I would like to look at the public health policy recommendations I promised to propose. To prevent disaster, Ghana needs bold and coordinated action. One, strengthen community-level health surveillance. We need to train community health workers to detect mercury poisoning. We need to integrate environmental indicators into the district health information management system too. Thirdly, we need to conduct periodic biological sampling of human hair, urine, and blood in high-risk communities. Then we need to create rapid response team for environmental alert. We need to reform national policy on environmental health. The policy must ban mercury use with real enforcement, require real-time environmental monitoring for both legal and illegal activities, mandate health impact assessment before issuing mining licenses, and support rehabilitation funds financed by mining companies. Thirdly, we need to integrate technology and law enforcement. Drone-based surveillance for illegal mining detection must be put in place. National Geographic Information System guide enforcement. Community-owned sensors for river monitoring. The fourth recommendation is protecting pregnant women and children. We have to target screening for vulnerable people or children and pregnant women. We need to put in place nutrition interventions, environmental health education, and safe water distribution in contaminated areas. The fifth recommendation, therefore, is empowering local communities. People must be partners, not victims. Chief-led environmental monitoring committees need to be set up. Community contracts for land protection must be ensured. And our youth must be employed through restoration projects. May I therefore conclude, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, by making a call for national action. Illegal mining is not just an environmental issue. It is a public health emergency, a nutrition crisis, and a development threat. I've seen what environmental disaster does to a community in Amasia West in 1991. And I've also seen what responsible mining looks like in Namibia and Tanzania. The difference is leadership, enforcement, and respect for human life. In Ghana, if Ghana continues on the current path, we risk a generation of children with impaired brain development, rivers that can no longer be used for drinking, farming, or fishing. We have already started noticing this. Communities living with chronic diseases and disabilities, billions of cities in lost productivity, and a reputation as a nation that sacrificed its people for good. But if we act using science, technology, and policy, we can reverse this trend. Let us choose health. Let us choose science. Let us choose the future of our children. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sego. And let's choose health. Let's choose our children. Let's choose our environment. Let's choose our water bodies. And respect for human health is vital in this talk. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that insight. And I think you gave us a lot of policy recommendation. I was trying to capture a lot, but I think I didn't manage to capture everything. Now, I'm sure you share some of your papers with us so that we can get everything, so that you can spearhead the work we want to embark on. Thank you so much. Please, let's give him a hand of applause. And before we go to the, please, let's give him some reaction. Let's clap for that wonderful presentation. So before we go to the third presenter, please check the chat box. A link has been given, and we need you to fill in that survey right away before we call on our third presenter. And after which we will go back into breakout session room. So whilst you're doing that, I just give another housekeeping announcement where we'll go back to breakout session, because now, as you can see, we are about 72. We want to have up close with all our speakers, so that over there we'll speak about how to form that, like I like what Professor Frimpong Manso did mention, that it shouldn't just be a workshop like this and it ends. It should be a workshop that after which it will be a beginning of a movement and of the advocacy group. So that breakout room session, 15 minutes will be allotted to, it will be 3. Each speaker will be in one, and then participants can spread across. And then we choose a leader over the change agent who will lead the spear and then connect with leadership of IGA. And then we see all the the policy recommendations that we have received at today's session, and see how we can start that movement, because the youth is the future leaders. We wouldn't allow our fathers who, and maybe even the current generation who are part of the distraction, to continue, because like Dr. Sego has just mentioned, the health effect it has on pregnant women, children development. I mean, it is something that we do not want to see our future generation getting deformed as Africans, because the only land we have is Ghana. There's no other place like home. So let's maintain what we have, and then let's mine responsibly. Thank you. So let me know if you are done with filling in the forms. You just give me a thumbs up. and then we will introduce our third presenter for today, our speaker. I hope you are gradually feeling it, and you're about finishing. Can I get a thumbs up from one person who has finished so that the third speaker will start, because we need your rapt attention for this session as well, so that I wouldn't want us to be doing two things at the same time. Anyone who has finished the filling of the forms? Yes, thank you, Peter. Peter is done. So Peter, you are my yardstick to you. So I'll just give 1 minute more, and then we start with we continue with the presentation. And that will be on environmental degradation, sustainability, and restoration pathways. And I like that restoration. And in Dr. Sego's policy recommendation, he also did mention where miners or maybe large companies who do illegal mining kind of reclaim the land before they exit the mining concession that has been given to them. So without much ado, I would like to call on Dr. George Manfo to do us the special honors to introduce environmental degradation, sustainability, and restoration pathway. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. I want to share my screen, and I want to make sure you've seen my screen. Have you seen my screen?
Yes, please.
You have, okay, right. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real honor and a privilege for me to share with you a couple of thoughts on the subject of illegal mining, the Environmental Degradation Act per Sustainability and Restoration Pathways. Personally, I've been associated with this subject matter for as long as I can recall, dating back to 1982 as a staff of the Environmental Protection Council, then that now is moved from council to agency, now to authority. And also I did my doctorate program in environmental technology, specializing on the environmental impacts of mining, both small and large scale. So this subject matter is of very interest and important to me personally. We have to get a little bit of a background as to why this is a big national issue. Professor Frimpong had indicated the history of mining in this country, gold mining in this country. But I recall in the early 80s, an ounce of gold was around $200 an ounce. Then in the mid-90s, it came to around $400 an ounce. And now it is $4,242 an ounce. Interestingly, it is being speculated, let me say that by next year, gold will reach $500 to $5,200 an ounce. And the most optimistic scenario scenario, the most optimistic scenario is looking at something between $6,500 to $7,000 an ounce. Now, I'm not a mineral economist or mining economist. So these are information that I have gathered from some credible sources. But if that is the case, and mindful of the fact that a third of Ghana's gold winnings, in fact, a third to 40%, that's 33 to 40% of all our mining winnings, gold mining winnings, coming from small scale mining. So small scale mining contributes significantly to the national economy. And therefore, there is a lot of incentives for people to cash in on this very precious resource, even to the detriment of our environmental resources. So it is important that we do everything possible to address this problem. And Dr. Segumuzi shared about his experience in Namibia and Tanzania. Now, so my presentation was cut through this subject because Professor Frimpong Manso and Dr. Segumuzi had covered quite some of the issues I wanted to go in, because the way the subject is and the dimensions we are looking at it, there's sure going to be some overlaps. So I was stressed on some pathways in addressing this problem, some specific suggestions to addressing that issue. Now, but for a broad perspective, my presentation will look at the context of Galamsey, as I've said, then the environmental degradation, the sustainability dimensions, looking at the environmental, social, and economic dimensions. Then we'll look at the restoration pathways and some future outlooks. Now, what is Galamsey? Galamsey is informal, unregulated, illegal, small-scale gold mining. It is not small-scale gold mining, which is illegal, but there are aspects of it which are unregulated, informal, and things, and they're not following the mining regulations. That is Galamsey, illegal small-scale mining. Now, it also has a dimension of destroying our biophysical environment, our air, our soil, and our water. And this is because the mining takes place essentially in the forests and in the riverine zones within this forest belt. The most interesting, and again, sad thing is that, interesting because small-scale mining goes on in 14 out of the 16 regions of Ghana. Although gold has been found in all the regions, in some areas, the degree of mineralization is so low, but at least 14 out of the 16 regions of Ghana have some form of illegal gold mining activities going on. That indicates that Ghana is blessed with these precious resources. And if we manage it well, it will help the country move out of poverty into a strong and an emerging developing country. If we don't manage it well, it will result in the destruction of our environmental resources and to the detriment of our health and social well-being in this country. So we have a blessing and a curse, and we have to decide which one we want to choose. Now, when you look at the destruction of our forest resources and our river bodies, it is sad. In fact, some of the rivers are so turbid that you can be deceived by thinking that a cup of turbid riverine water is a cup of chocolate or cocoa or Milo. they look similar in terms of the color of a cocoa drink and a highly polluted river in Ghana. Now, there are areas I've also delineated in this slide. Let me go. I've delineated in this slide some hotspots just to show you that from the Upper East region, the Northeast region, through the Savannah region to the Bono region, to Northwest, to Central region, going to Western region, Ashanti region, Eastern region. These are, in fact, some hotspots of illegal mining activity going on. And I have also zoomed in into some areas in the Amanfi Central, Amanfi East, the Wassa West, the Prisia-Huni Valley, the Tarkwa-Nsuem region, the Mpoho, the East Nzema East. These are all hotspots, real hotspots of Galamsey activities. And it's going on even as we speak. Now, so why does it matter? Why do we have to be concerned about the environmental degradation arising from illegal mining? It pollutes our water bodies, particularly the Pra, the Ofin, and the Ankroba rivers are heavily polluted. I don't want to go in there because Dr. Segun-Musa already talked about mercury pollution, high turbidity. It also talked about arsenic and other contaminants. We also have a destruction of our forests, ecosystem, and our cocoa farms. And then our water bodies, national security, and also livelihoods are threatened. Now, when we talk of the impact of land degradation, here we mean that pits which are dug and craters which are created as a result of extracting auriferous or gold-bearing sediments or material are left open and uncovered or unreclaimed. And that poses a lot of risks to the villagers or the people who live in that area, in that community. The erosion of topsoils is also a very big issue. About 2 years ago, I made a presentation addressing the issue of destruction of our topsoils and indicated that from a soil morphology perspective, or what you call pedogenesis, the formation of soils, it takes about 15,000 years for rocks to break down to form soils on which can support agriculture and some vegetation. So if we destroy our farmlands, it takes several, I would say dozens of generations for us to get any resemblance of a restored, degraded land. And also in our communities, in local communities where mining is done, stagnant pools are created, which constitute grounds for breeding mosquitoes and also, causing health impacts to people within that community. Now, this kind of destruction goes on for several reasons. One is economic reasons for the people in the local area or people who are doing the laborers engaged in that mining. Poverty is an issue unemployment is an issue. And as I said, high gold returns, now $4,200 an ounce. And also the low agricultural income. A couple of, maybe about 2 years ago, Professor Frimpong Manso and I and some religious leaders went to the Eastern region, Akwatia area. And in our interaction with the local people there, they made it very clear that cocoa farms are being sold and oil palm plantation farms are being sold to Galamsey operators for the extraction of gold. And when I asked why, he says, we get more money selling our lands than the benefit we get from the agricultural produce. So long as agricultural income are low and extracting gold illegally has high economic returns, and we have unemployment and poverty, if these issues are not addressed, the income of our farmers, and today is Farmers' Day, so that issue is very important. The unemployment issue within the villages and small towns, and the issue of poverty in general. If these things are not addressed, then the economic drivers to destroying the environment in pursuit of gold becomes very, very high. The issue of governance is also an important driver. Weak enforcement, corruption, and political patronage. People who are in power and people who have political influence also use their influence to get involved in illegal mining. Then we have the social aspects where the youth are seeking for quick wealth. They want money quick. That is also becoming an issue. And the communities are tolerant of this mindset, and therefore parents push their kids, even school-going kids, to do galamsey over weekends and sometimes even on school days. Then
sorry, Dr. Manfo, you have 15 minutes to finish your presentation. I see you are 9 out of 28, so
I will run over some of those.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
So we also have the technological issue that we have excavators now being important to our country to do dredging, and also foreign-backed mechanization support from foreigners. So all these issues are important drivers of the problem of environmental degradation arising from small-scale mining. So I've talked already about the turbidity and siltation of rivers. With Dr. Segumo talked about mercury and cyanide pollution. We've talked about bioaccumulation of heavy metals in fishes and other benthic organisms, and the destruction of the riparian zones within the catchment area of major rivers. So our forest reserves are being encroached upon. Habitats which are often joined and form as corridors for the migration of animals. Okay, for lack of it, let me use animals. Their habitats have been fragmented, and the issue of ecosystem services loss, the benefits we get from ecosystem, is also being degraded. Now, when we come to air quality, we have dust and smoke emissions, greenhouse gases from deforestation arising from small-scale mining, and then local climate variability of vulnerability. So the environmental sustainability issues have three key drivers. One is the damage caused beyond recovery. The ecosystem has got an internal tolerance. And when the impact exceeds the carrying capacity of that environment, then we move into a tipping point, and at that point, there is no, recovery becomes difficult. And at the same time, it reduces the resilience of various ecosystems, be it aquatic ecosystems or forest ecosystems. These are also having challenges, and water security risks also exist as a result of illegal mining operations. As I said, the economic sustainability issue, we have to weigh between the short-term gains and the long-term damage as a result of small-scale mining. Then we also have to look at the high cost of treatment of potable water. And Ghana Water Company has been complaining for some time now that the cost of water treatment is high, and therefore our water bills have gone up and will continue to go up. And the loss of fish and fertile lands also constitute an economic sustainability constraint. So the social constraint, I think Dr. Segomusa had talked about it. The first two issues of health, occupational hazards, and then the other aspect, which I'm just touching on briefly, is the crime and the community disruptions as a result of small-scale mining. Therefore, we have to look at our governance and institutional sustainability issues undermining our effort to address Galamsey. One is the weak enforcement we have in this country. Then we have problems of institutional overlaps, where one institution thinks that the other one is trespassing on their areas of operation. Sometimes it's not very clear. For example, when people are mining in forest reserves, and you want to know whether there's an issue for Forestry Commission to address, or Environmental Protection Authority to address, or the local community, or the district or municipal chief executives have the responsibility. The local government has responsibility of addressing this. So sometimes there is this kind of institutional overlaps, and sometimes theft protection, and also the issue of corruption and interference. As I earlier said, when somebody is arrested, there are some very influential people who can interfere in the law enforcement process and therefore cause these kind of challenges. So now, what are the cultural and ethical sustainability issues? These include a better understanding of our stewardship obligation as a nation. And Prof also mentioned about the land as being our ancestral heritage. And then I think our chair also talked about the issues of intergenerational justice, that the resources we have today is meant for us to maintain and build resilience into it so that our children and our grandchildren would also benefit from the use of these resources. So what are the issues arising out of the effort to ecologically restore degraded lands? We have to avoid degradation of the environment. Where avoidance is not feasible, we have to minimize that impact. And if we minimize those impacts, the residual impacts which takes place, we have to restore or offset it. I can explain that when we go into the breakout groups. Then we have to also enhance the recovery of ecosystem functions so that the rivers, the vegetation, the soils can maintain their normal ecological functions. Then we have to get the communities involved in this exercise. So the land restoration options that we have include backfilling of dugout pits and recontouring to minimize erosion, adding some soil fertility enhancement to improve soil fertility and improve the ability of soil to hold water, revegetation areas which are badly degraded, and also doing contouring to minimize erosion. Now, when it comes to the river and riverine body systems, we have to do siltation because the river is already heavily silted, and that brings cost. We have to employ riparian restoration systems. We have to look at mercury-free processing, which I think the government already started that initiative. And Environmental Protection Authority, the water company limited should all enhance water quality monitoring to the extent possible. The issue of alternative livelihoods to dissuade young people from getting involved in irresponsible mining. We have to also inculcate the practice of responsible small-scale mining. The community must also be involved in the restoration and a stronger enforcement pathways. When we come to, okay, let me skip this because I'll come back to this again. So in the next 5 or 6 minutes, I'll run through some slides. One, we have 5 strategic pillars we have to settle on. I would say that we have to embrace 5 strategic pillars. One is strong governance and enforcement pillar, which we have to digitize and decentralize licensing for small-scale artisanal mining. They don't have to come all the way to regional centers or even to Accra in order to do those, to regularize their licensing processes. We have to establish a national mining enforcement coordination center by next year. If we want to address this issue, we have to set up a mining enforcement coordination center. We have to equip the multi-agency enforcement teams with intelligent tools and accountability systems. Then we have to establish a fast-track mining environmental courts to address this issue. When it comes to formalization and responsible mining, we have to have a mechanism where we can transition to at least 70% of active miners would have to be licensed over the next 2 years. We have to have mandatory reclamation bonds for all licensed miners. So some money should be set aside to reclaim the land after it has been mined out. Then we have to expand the mercury-free technologies and get this technology disseminated nationwide. Pillar 3, we have to restore at least 3,000 hectares of degraded land annually starting from next year. If we are not able to do that, we have challenge with the degradation of our lands. We have to decide to plant at least 5 million trees across Galamsey corridors in this country, and we all know where the corridors are. And we have to restore river banks using engineering nature-based solutions. Livelihood transition. We have to train the youth in green livelihood skills over the next 3 years. And we have to set a target. At least 50,000 youth will have to be trained in green livelihood skills. Then we have to expand, in that regard, we have to expand the facilities that support agroforestry, aquaculture, cashew, and shea nut value chains in mining areas so that we can diversify the economic base of the mine of the people in these areas. Why all stakeholders must be involved? Government alone cannot fight Galamsey. We need the chiefs to protect customary lands. We need pastors, imams, or religious leaders to revive moral conscience of Ghanaians. We need the youth to defend their rivers in the future, because for the older generation, we have few years ahead of us with respect to the years that have gone behind us. CSOs must also support this process by educating and monitoring the impacts of illegal mining. The media must be quick to expose wrongdoing irrespective of whoever is responsible for these actions. Development partners should also help sustain technical and financial support to address the problem of galamsey. The miners themselves should embrace legality. This is a society-wide emergency and is also a whole of society mobilization that is needed to defeat this. In conclusion, galamsey is a national crisis, restoration is possible, and there is a need for collective responsibility to address the problem. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
So thank you so much, Dr. Mafo. What an insightful presentation. I think Dr. Mafo deserves also another hand of applause. So please, let's give him the hand of applause. So much, I mean, so much information has been given to us. I mean, I just felt like I was in an academic lecture. Thank you so much. Yeah, so Dr. Mafo, some questions have already started dropping. So I will just, because you have saved like 2 minutes, so we'll use that 2 minutes to see if we can address some of the questions before we go into the breakout room session. But if we are not able to get to the breakout room session, we'll have like another alternative way of going about the continuation of the program. Okay, so I see, so I want to quickly check the questions and then ask. Okay. Okay, so I have one from Dauda. Why is it that none of the committee responsible for stopping illegal mining aren't using their drones technology that the professor talked about? So Professor Frimpong, so if you are with us, please, can you address that question? And then, so whilst it's preparing, I'll read another one, and then we see which other speaker this question is addressed to. So my question is, what can illegal mining stop in Africa, especially Ghana? How and what effects will it benefit the youth you are into it after
Hello,
stopping
can
it?
I get the question again?
Okay, is that Professor?
Can I get the question again, please?
Okay, so the
Yes,
first
I'm now
question.
on.
Okay, the first question is, why is it that none of the committee responsible for stopping illegal mining aren't using this drone technology that the professor spoke about?
Well, we learned that what is happening in the Galamsey, not only the drone technology, but all the other areas that can stop is that there's political interference. People have put money ahead of human life. People do not care about being owners or stewards of the land that God has given to us to hold in trust for the next generation. If people care, they will go at every length to provide not only the drone technology, but to use all possible positive ways and actions to bring this menace to an end. Dr. Segun Moses told us that in Tanzania and in some other countries, Namibia also, they are doing it. Why can't it be done in Ghana? To me, it is compromise and deliberate and putting wealth ahead of our health and life. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. So I'll read out the second question and then see which speaker that question is addressed to. So my question is it that illegal mining can stop in Africa, especially in Ghana? Or how and what effect will it benefit the youth into, I think you are into it after stopping it. It's a bit not so clear to me, but if the speakers are able to grasp it, then maybe you could address it. If not, I read the third one, and I'm sure maybe the person wants to say, can illegal mining stop in Ghana?
Okay. Can I attempt to answer that question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Illegal mining can be stopped. There is technology to stop it.
Mm.
Small-scale illegal mining has gone on, in my opinion, in 122 countries in the world have got issues with small-scale mining. And in a number of countries, the issue has been stopped. The adverse impacts have been mitigated and stopped. What I think is required is a strong government initiative backed by all the stakeholders. If the stakeholders, from the religious leaders to the non-governmental agencies or civil society organizations, the chiefs, if everybody played their part, headed by the government, who has all the resources to play at its disposal to spearhead this action, it can be stopped and it might be stopped. In fact, maybe subsequently, what I can do is to put up, maybe for the attention of all interested parties, the case studies of where these issues have been stopped in a number of countries, and even in our own country, areas where people, the chiefs and the people, are doing much better in addressing this issue. In fact, it's not all dark in this country. There are few areas where efforts have been made to mitigate galamsey. But I think, as Prof said, is the greed and the quick desire for money which has made this effort difficult, and political interference. So if we choose to address all these issues, from the technology aspect, from the social aspects, from our cultural dimensions, our religious dimensions, if we put all these things together, we should be able to solve that problem. And in fact, Ghana, we must solve it. Because, as I said, if we don't solve these issues, and with the price of gold rising, we wouldn't have lands to farm. We cannot produce cocoa. We cannot farm our own local produce. It will be a national disaster. So we must do everything we can to solve it, and it is possible. Thank you.
I like the ending one, and it is possible. And that is a great start for us. So that question was asked by Saeed Zakaria. And before I move to the next two questions, before we get into our breakout room session, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. John Akon. He is the UDS SRC president. Thank you. So I'd like to call Isabel Sego. Okay. Please, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Yes. No, sorry. This is Charles.
Okay.
I just want to re-emphasize what has just been said about,
Yeah.
Because in my presentation I said that I have seen what responsible mining looks like in Namibia and Tanzania.
Yeah.
The difference is leadership, enforcement, and respect for human life.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the technology, and not using the technology and pretending to address or to be addressing the problem is a great sense of hypocrisy and undermines leadership. For instance, what drones can do very quickly and give you the results. If you take other means, you are just making it a little more inefficient, a little more difficult to get the data. And you see, without the data, you are blind, and you cannot. I also mentioned that we have the technology which now makes what is invisible visible. We can now see what is happening, get all the data. So it's really a responsibility of all involved, but starting with leadership and enforcement, and emphasizing on respect for human lives. Do we value the lives that are perishing, that have long-term problems waiting for them. Do we value the lives of the unborn children, some of whom will be born deformed? All because when I had the opportunity to take a decisive decision, I refused. And sometimes we think that because I am far away from the mining site, I'm free. But we are not. I also mentioned that contamination travels far beyond where the contamination takes place. So it's also personal responsibilities. And we are not only talking about leadership, but then all stakeholders. We have people in civil, the civil service. Everyone should be actively involved and take that responsibility that this is our fight. And it's an existential threat to us now and to our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sego. You have nailed it. I think all the resource persons have nailed it. And I'm so much happy that I'm really part of this webinar. So we have 4 more questions, but before then, I would like to hold onto our gun for this session. And now we would like to go into the breakout room session. But before we go, because I want you to have that personal contact with our honorable speakers, and what is will be required from the group. So we will have 3 groups. We need to come back with who will be our audience with the movements that will be forming after this workshop. That is the change agent movement. What will be our motivation message? When do we start? What is our first movement? What is our next action to start this movement? Because we have listened to insightful presentations, and we wouldn't want to let this presentation we just came, heard, and that was it. No. And I'm sure Professor Frimpong Manso, and I think all the speakers did mention that we should do something. The action is now. And doing that action now is going into the breakout room session. So I'd like to call on the technical team to activate the breakout room session, and then we go in there. 15 minutes and we are back, and then we will answer. Each group will have to answer these questions, and then we take it up from there. Thank you.
Hello, colleagues. Good evening. Am I in the right breakout group? Excuse me, who is facilitating this breakout group? Colleagues, who is moderating this group?
It appears no one is moderating this breakout session.
I see.
Mm.
So is Genevieve immediately available? Or we should take it, or is this group going to discuss the issue of sustainability, environmental degradation, and the way forward in addressing Galamsey?
I don't really know. Maybe I because Genevieve didn't say anything to this group, and we don't know who is leading this breakout session. So I don't know. Maybe
So
you can.
Lord, can you moderate it for us? So at least this group can use the next couple of minutes to address some concerns that colleagues may have.
Oh, okay, I'll see about that. Because so what topic are we discussing in this group session? I missed it a little bit.
Yeah, we are discussing about environmental degradation, issues relating to sustainability, and the way forward in addressing the adverse impact of Galamsey operations in Ghana. So what kind of damage the Galamsey is causing, both from the social, economic, and environmental perspective, and what are the approaches in addressing these problems on a more permanent basis?
That is fine. So colleagues, the topic is on the table. So how do we approach it? So it appears we already know the challenge of Galamsey in Ghana, and then the impact of Galamsey on public health, the environment, and on the economy in general. So for the issues, I'm sure we already know about them. So now the focus is going to be on the way forward for the Galamsey menace. How do we address this problem permanently so that it doesn't recur while we are moving forward? So that's the issue right now. So we'll have to look at the way forward. Okay, so I see a hand up. Abdul Rahman Hamid Hamdu. Sorry if I don't pronounce the name. Abdul Rahman Hamdu. Please, I see your hand up. Kindly speak.
Okay, so now we all know the challenges that we face or what effects Galamsey has on the economy of the nation, the health of the citizens as well. So I think the first approach to combating this should be an education, effective education put in place. The people involved in this act, most of them, I must say, must be illiterate on the effect this Galamsey poses to they themselves and to their people at home, and not just the money they get in return when they involve in such acts. So to me, what I think is the whole nation, the youth and the people involved, I said the citizens at large must be educated on the effects it has on us, despite having, I mean, we get a lot of money when we involve in these ones. That's what the people involved in this says. Oh, there's a lot of money in it. So if I go into it, I get a lot of money that I have to use for my needs. So, but the question remains clear. You get a lot of money, you still come home to use this money to treat yourself. That is years to come when you can't even afford to treat yourself properly. Because as we use heavy chemicals, just like they made mention to us earlier, the mercury and all those stuff, they poses to us great health risks. So when we are involved in this, we use these chemicals, time to come, our health will not be good for us. So this money we are getting is just like digging our own graves. We get money in the future, we try to use it for what? To treat ourselves as well. So to me, what I see perfect as it stands. It's not speaking again.
Okay, Rahman, I think that is a very important intervention and question. When we talk about education, we have to zoom in. Whom are we educating? Is our focus on which stakeholder? One stakeholder will be the people who are in the pit, who are trying to work as laborers. Another group of people are the regulators, the law enforcement agency. Are we going to educate the police, the military? Are we educating the government agencies that are responsible for checking compliance? Whom are we educating? Are we educating our people in our mosque and in our churches? We have to be a little bit more focused because education will be quite targeted depending on which audience you have. Can you elaborate a bit further?
So like you made mention, the churches, the mosques, the opinion leaders in the community as well need to tell the people or the leaders of the nation has to educate the citizens on the effect of this act, right? So if we get the right education and we know the effects this poses on us, I think we'll be able to do that. It's going to be a collaborative effort, an effort from everybody, such that people in the community, we are those people who still go ahead to do the mining. So our opinion leaders in the community get educated, let's say from higher level, higher authorities from the government. Then when we come, we the laborers, the youth of the community, we are still those involved in this act. So when we come to the community, we get surrounded, we are sat down, then we are educated. Our leaders in the community tell us, okay, this is the education we have received from the government or from authorities on the effects of mining on us, although it gives us money. You know, to arrange a meeting for the whole country to have a distance. It's not to have a single meeting. It's not going to be an easy one. So why not we do it at community-based level, so that each community, the leaders, they are picked at either regional level, district level, municipal level, and then national level. They get this required knowledge. Then when they return back to their communities, they do the needful. That is, they educate their people on that. So when they come, they tell us, okay, we are the youth and we are those who are the laborers in the mining sector. they see to be the youth, the laborers down, tell us, okay, we do the labor, we get the money, but do you know that it has effect on us? They educate us more on the effect it has on us more than the benefit we derive from it, which is barely just the money. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think at the community
Norman,
level, this
I
is
think you
very
made
important.
your point very clear.
Yeah.
Can we allow others also to make intervention? Your point is very well clear.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I see Abdullah's hand up. So this is how we will do. We'll go to the chat, pick one, and then pick one from those who have also raised up their hands. So I think so far I can't see any hand up now. So I'll go to the chat and then I'll ask the question, and then our resource persons will respond to us. Okay, so the last one was before we went into the breakout session was that is by Dallard Bernard. How can a call for ethical leadership put a stop to the mindset of illegal mining is the quicker way to make money by the youth? So any of the, I think our leader who spoke about ethical leadership, I'm sure it's Professor Frimpong Manso. Do we have Professor Frimpong Manso?
Maybe he's with the other group.
They are not back. I'm sure everybody is back from the group. If not, Dr. Manfo, if you could help us with that response.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Genevieve. I think the issue is quite simple. Education should be done at all levels. You see, when you're educating people from the ethical point of view, they would understand, okay, I don't need to destroy the water bodies. I don't need to destroy vegetation. I don't need to destroy farmlands. I don't have to put mercury contaminants into the stream or water bodies. That is one aspect, and they would understand. But they also want to know how they can make a living. How should I live? How can I feed my family? So you see, we have to have education on the ethical level, on the issues relating to employment, addressing poverty, eradication issues, and have a holistic education which covers all aspects. But if we stress only on the ethical ones, then other important considerations to that person might hinder the assimilation of your ethical discuss or ethical kind of guidance that we are given. So ethical issues are important, but they have to understand, and we have to address other meaningful concerns that they have so that we can have a holistic approach to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manfo. So I'll move to the next question in the chat. What systems are in place to hold public officials and local leaders accountable for their role in enabling illegal mining? And this question is by Pagyal Taglan Rutafal. Sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you. Any of our resource person would like to take this?
Any of the resource persons available before I make an attempt?
Yeah.
My hand is up.
Okay, good.
Okay, sorry, I can't see you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Sego.
Yes. The accountability of leadership.
Yeah.
One important aspect of accountability is knowing what to be accountable for.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, if we don't have, or if you cannot measure something, you cannot be held accountable for it. And that's why, again, I stress on the technology, they need to monitor.
Yeah.
They need to monitor, and we have the technology to be able to do that even at the lowest level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the involvement of the local communities in monitoring what is happening to the water, what is happening to the the food system, etc. And these days, it can easily be done. Some monitoring or some data can be collected within 2 minutes.
Mm.
Now, linking this also up to existing systems and structures. So here I will talk about health, where we can then link this up to the district health information management system, which then also feeds into the alert system. See, because if there's no problem, or we pretend in this country that we don't have a problem, because we don't have the data to show us that we have a problem. So my first point would be to emphasize on really implementing the monitoring system, or putting in place the system and really implementing them. That would help us to know what is happening. Once we have that, accountability must start from the grassroots, because that's where things starts to happen. So the community itself, the leadership in the community, chiefs, etc., and our people must hold local leadership accountable. Because unless we start holding local leadership accountable, then something is happening in my village, and I'm looking way back in the capital to come and solve it for me. No, I should be able to ask what is happening. That's why I started with, we need to know what data is being collected. And I would really employ the youth to take this up. That what can we monitor? What data can we gather? And then we apply it immediately where we are. And then it moves on to the next level. For instance, people are bringing in machinery, etc. Where are they coming from? We should ask the questions. So accountability must not be seen as something abstract. Accountability must be seen locally, and it must involve local people for a start. I leave the rest to my big brother, Dr. Mafu, to come in.
Okay, just to add just 1 or 2 points here. I think that the issue of accountability should go also with resources. For example, if you want an agency, let's say Environmental Protection Authority, to effectively monitor environmental degradation, they should have what it takes, the resources. And when the resources have been provided, and both human resource and otherwise, then you can hold the agency accountable. And the leadership of that authority or agency should be held accountable for what they've been resourced by law to do. And so we have to address it in those dimensions, that responsibility and holding someone accountable to a particular issue, particularly relating to illegal mining. For example, if somebody wants to go and mine in a particular area, he or she has to know the degree of mineralization over there. So that if he mines the place and he doesn't find gold enough, he will never, restore the land. So the Minerals Commission should have the capacity, together with the Ghana Geological Agency, to be able to delineate areas where mining is possible. And when you know that mining is possible here, then you put all the mechanism in place so that whoever is doing the mining can mine profitably, and then you, as the government agency responsible for regulating that sector, then do your work in accordance with law. So I think that we should take a more holistic approach in addressing this. And as Dr. Segomosi said, this is feasible and this is possible because it has been done elsewhere.
Thank you, Dr. Amanfo. So we have 20 minutes to wrap up this session, and I have like 5 hands. So when I call you, please, you make your question a bit snappy. And then the responses should also be a bit snappy so that we can address all the questions and then go back to the chat box. And before we go into that, please, those who, I think like Professor has said, or doctors have said, we need to start now, the change agent. And it starts with what? Active advocacy. And we want each person who is interested to make a change to put their names and email address in the chat box, because after this forum, we will reach out to you and we'll form a group to start that movement. Thank you. So I call on Yuri, as a guy new Yuri, to ask your question. Thank you. Please unmute if you are speaking. If not, I call on Emmanuel Boateng.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Geniu Siafuluri, a student of University for Development Studies. Actually a question, but also a suggestion. Okay, we all know that armed robbery is a criminal offense, and government is doing everything possible to solve this situation in every sector of the country. Why don't we approach illegal mining in the same direction so that it will be a national call rather than a political agenda or something? Because when we have change of government, they come with a different approach in solving galamsey or illegal mining. But with time, the effect is going to be huge. That government is going to be spending huge sum of money in treating people who are being affected. And are we really, as a country, aware of this? And how do we just sit down and watch everything happen? Because Ghana is a very
please, can you
great
wrap up
nation
your question so that others will have the opportunity to ask their question?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
So I want to call on agencies like what your team is doing to keep on the good work, and also maybe involve other government stakeholders so that they will establish youth ambassadors across every mining community so that they can help facilitate this thing that we are all talking about. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think it was more of a contribution than a question. So I call on Abdullahi.
You call me, please. Emmanuel Boateng.
Emmanuel Boateng. Okay, so okay, Emmanuel. Please, when I call you and you finish, please, can you put your hands down so that I don't get confused? Thank you, Emmanuel. Please, snappy.
All right, sure. So I had a comment and a question, but because of time, let me just go straight to my question.
Yes, please.
I want to ask about the commitment of government. I want to ask this to all the speakers who spoke. Do you think this current government is committed to ending galamsey in Ghana? Thank you.
Thank you. So any of the speakers, Dr. Mafu, can we see your face?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, because your camera.
Oh, okay. My camera is off. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. You can see me?
Yes, we can see you now.
Okay, good. All right.
You want to answer that question?
Sure.
Okay.
The question relating to government's agenda to commitment to address the problem.
Yes, the current government.
You see, the previous government, the current government, they all know what they should do to address this issue. You have excellent people in Minerals Commission, EPA, Forestry Commission. They know what it takes. The issue is the willingness of a government to address comprehensively that issue. No one can answer except the government themselves and we, the citizens, who can hold them responsible for their actions. But if a government top official, I mean, I've worked in government for 16 years, and this issue is not new. We all know what it takes to do that. And the government must be held responsible because they should take the lead. If they take the lead, the others would follow. because they have what it takes to ensure compliance. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Can I also come in?
Okay, then briefly so that Emmanuel can also ask his question. Thank you.
Okay. Just to add to what Dr. Malfoy said,
Yeah.
all the parties have it in their manifesto. Actually, it's what they were one of the points that they brought forward that when I come, I'll do this, I'll stop Galamsey in 100 days and all that. So verbal commitment we've had, it is actionable commitment. What they do is what matters. And I will go back to a point I made earlier. We must hold responsibility from grassroots up. And use information to hold people accountable. Because we are holding people accountable. What is the basis of that? We must have concrete evidence, and evidence is gathered where the action is taking place. And that's why I will call on the youth in all these areas, rise up, collect the information, hold your immediate leadership responsible, and demand from them that they hold their higher levels also responsible. Otherwise, we say this and do something different. Everybody's talking about Galamsey, and as Dr. Malfoy said, Galamsey is not a new problem. That's always been there. So where is the action? Everybody is pointing the finger to the top. Yes, but we are all involved. Thank you.
We are all involved. Thank you, Doctor. We are all involved, like Doctor said. And then he's calling on the youth particularly. Please. Thank you. So, okay, I call on Manuel. Pastor Manuel, can you ask your question, please? And it should be snappy, please. Please, if you are speaking, you are on mute. You are on mute. Okay, then I will take one question from the chat. It said, the name is S23. How can the diaspora positively help in reducing the contamination of waters? How can the diaspora positively help in reducing the contamination of water? Any of the speakers who want to attempt that question?
Okay, let me try because it's an open-ended question. I think the questioner is asking whether Ghanaians who live outside the country can contribute to this process. Yes, and I think that there is a way in which those Ghanaians in diaspora are linked to national persons. For example, in my school, we have all students platforms where we discuss national issues way beyond what which is applicable to our alma mater. And there are opportunities to raise these issues and invite them to participate in this. So some of them can bring their expertise to bear. Some of them may also know what has been done elsewhere. Some of them have been involved also in addressing similar issues within their own areas of competence. So there is opportunity to call upon these people to help us. It's not a one-size-fits-all. We may have to use different fora to be able to lock into their resources, expertise, financially and otherwise, to help address this issue. Because a business opportunity to try and curtail Galamsey operations. And there are business aspects in it. For example, talking about drones, using drones to monitor. And I've seen satellite images by the US government, the NASA satellites, pinpointing exactly where some mining activity is going on. I was at a conference and somebody showed me real time when I was talking about mining in my country. Somebody showed me exactly where people are in the Ofin River trying to do Galamsey in the tributaries of Ofin. And I sat in the meeting outside the country and I was shocked why the person was able to locate. So we have the technology to know who is doing what. And this can be done. related to the government authorities to assist if possible. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll ask Eager Africa. Your hand is up. Can you ask your question?
Yeah,
Please.
mine is not it's not a question, but also addition to what Prof. Manfo just said.
Okay.
About the diaspora. Yes, the diaspora has a role to play. That is why we have a ministry, a whole ministry now created in the office of the president, especially in Ghana, which is the office of the diaspora and led by KOD. And currently, recently, I think that was 3 weeks ago, they launched Ghanaian women in the diaspora in Germany. So Ghana is also considering the diaspora to become the next region, which means that diaspora has a role to play. So that's what we want to do. So after this program, the diaspora, we're also going to come together and also organize a press conference and drive home what we want the government to do. So this program is not just ending here. We are in the diaspora, so we have to put ourselves together, organize a press conference, and then drive home what exactly we believe the government can do to stop this future, repercussion of this illegal mining. So diaspora has a very important role to play. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I move to Alfred, right? If I got the name correctly.
Sorry, Jenny.
Yeah.
Moderator, sorry, I think Pastor Manuel is back now. I don't know if
back.
you can. Yes, he's
okay.
back now.
Since I've mentioned Alfred, let him ask his question. After him, then Pastor Manuel will come on. So Alfred, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Alfred Asabe, a student of University for Development Studies. The question I want to ask is it that the political leaders, they also have some benefits they get from galamsey or illegal mining? That's why most of the time you see them politicizing the issue, something that has become a national interest, but you see them politicizing it instead of, trying to make sure we all end it, but you see them politicizing the issue. Moreover, most of the time you see these political leaders making it as a political issue. Meanwhile, it's a national interest that we all need to come together and fight against it. That's my question. Is it that they have some benefits they get, that's why they don't want to be serious on that? Or
by the moderator?
Sorry. I was speaking. Yeah. So
no, can I respond?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. I respond with a question also.
Okay.
Who voted the political leaders into leadership?
Yeah.
What was their political manifesto? Did it include galamsey? And have we confronted them with what they said and what they are doing? I think this should be the question. You see, a lot of the time, and then let me also go back to the question or the comment earlier. We want to even hold a press conference and tell government what government should do. That's good. But you agree with me, a lot of these things are being done all the time. Can we also outline what we want to do to support whatever government is doing or not doing? Whether we are diaspora, youth, market women, whoever we are, what can we do? Because as I mentioned, this is an essential threat to us now and our future. You see, so we need to interrogate the issue. Well, once again, let's take a step backwards and ask these questions. If we vote people into power, and for some people, they are continuously being voted into power. They are continuously telling us they are going to do A, and when they come, they do B. So who are we to blame? Them or us? And how can we use evidence to challenge them? Over.
Yeah. How do we use evidence to challenge them? I like that so much. So I call on Pagyel Taglan to ask your question. Yeah, and then after that, we have 4 minutes to stop this session. So please let your question be short, and then the response also be snappy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Rutherford, in short, a student from the University for Development Studies. And if it comes to illegal mining, I think much of the concern is on the young people. And I would like to know, how can young people be involved in sustainable mining or environmental restoration efforts? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mafo, would you want to take that?
Yes, I want to respond by quoting one of the lines I had about the youth. They said the youth must defend their future and their water bodies.
Mm.
The youth are the very beneficiaries and also the people who are tempted to participate in illegal mining because of lack of employment.
Mm-hmm.
So they are the people we should start the education with, and they can educate their parents, because some of the youth, I mean, they have gone to school. Maybe their parents haven't gone to school, don't have that education, but they could also be agent of change. But we must support them by providing to them what it takes for them to become active agents of change. We can mobilize them in our environmental education, sensitization, awareness issues. These are our agents of change, and we can mobilize them to participate in that within the various forums that they're active, either as SCOs, NGOs, whatever. I think they are important agents of change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mafo. And I'll go to the chat before I come to Lord Nete. So,
please, I wanted.
Okay, go ahead.
Please, he made mention of the youth being involved. That's the young people, and most of them is always as a result of unemployment that made them to go into this galamsey. So, to clarify that, are there other alternative job opportunities for these youth that are unemployed? Because I think if there are alternative job opportunities for them, they wouldn't go into galamsey.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Mafo or Dr. Sego, do you want to take that? Because
okay, let me
okay, I'll attempt that by agreeing with him that yes.
Yeah,
and
alternative.
Yes, alternative employment. When you have a situation where farming, for instance, people are selling their farms, their cocoa farms, to get into galamsey, then you realize that the problem is deeper than just a mere switch, you see. So it is making the alternatives viable and profitable. Therefore, we need to look at, and once again, youth, we start with our education system. We must educate our youth in such a way that when they come out, they want to look at ways of employing themselves and creating employment, and not looking for employment. So that is where maybe we should start addressing this bigger issue. Because if we have a youth that is always looking for employment and not how I can employ or be employable and employ others, it's a basic problem. We have a youth who may have inherited a farm from their parent and say, look, I will get more money by selling this cocoa farm to galamsey. We have also a problem there, you see. So it is more complex than we see it, and it's not something that, oh, the alternative is just do this job or do that job. You have to train yourself to be employable. These days we have technology to use so that you become employable and you can create employment. And that mind or paradigm shift must take place in our training institutions.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sega. I think you said it all. And we have run out of time, 2 minutes, but I think I want to spend 3 minutes of my time that I have to use for the wrap-up session to allow this question. I think fabrics, your question is related to the one that Dr. Sego has just answered. So I just maybe to read, we all know unemployment is one of the major problems in this country, which is also fueling Galamsey. So what measures do we have in place, employ the youth so that they will have something to do? But I think Dr. Sego has already given us that response. So Nete, Lord Nete, it's your turn. So I'm giving you 1 minute to ask your question and then 2 minutes for response, and then we'll close up for this session. I'm sorry if I'm not able to call you. Maybe you can drop your question in the chat box so that we will forward it to the resource person. Since you've already provided your email addresses, we'll forward those responses to you. Thank you. So Edward, Lord Nete, please,
Right.
the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. So there is this argument ongoing in Ghana that the government itself is an enabler of Galamsey. And the point is that as we speak, Galamsey is ongoing. They mine. And when they mine, they do sell the gold that they mine. But as we speak, with the creation of Gold Board, you cannot export gold. When you attempt to export gold, it will be illegal and you'll be arrested. At the same time, illegal mining is ongoing. So now the question is, the gold that these illegal miners mine or get, where do they sell the gold to, or who do they sell the gold to? That is why some people believe that the government itself, through its own policies, is an enabler of Galamsey. So I think Mr. Segu mentioned that all of us are involved in this whole fight against Galamsey.
Yeah.
Yes, all of us are involved. But at the same time, if you have government policies that seem to be enabling Galamsey, then it becomes difficult to get all of us involved. So now the critical question is, the illegal miners, the gold that they mine, where does it go? Where do they go? Where do the minerals
I think
go?
your question has been captured. So one of our resource persons will respond, and then I ask Pastor Manuel to come because I forgot. Thank you. Sorry about that. So any of our resource person.
No, don't worry. Thank you very much. I had an emergency call.
Okay.
That's the reason why I had to really escape. I'm very, very thankful for this very session, and thank you so much, all speakers and moderator. I'm really very happy. My statement is not a question, but something that I've observed.
Okay.
Our brother who just spoke, drew our attention that where do they sell this gold? The Galamseys. It's really pathetic that our authorities, they are, responsible. I'm not saying they are the cause of it, but they have the power to see to it that there is order in respect of mining. Dr. Sego did make emphasis on drawings. It's true. We're living here in Germany. Every law that is really established, the executive, the government sees to it that it's implemented, whereby the police and the law enforcement agents work on that. When you are caught, no one is above the law. This is what I'm really willing and wishing humbly that Ghana begins to. But if we as leaders, as authority, as pastors, as government, as ministers, we don't set good example, why do we tackle the younger ones? So please, I am praying and I'm wishing earnestly that the education that God has given to us with the title, with the positions, we try to serve the people, because the egocentrism and the what we call it, greed, is too high. Because we are in the Western world, we sense that no one is above the law. The judiciary, who is responsible for judging someone who has, gone against the law, sometimes there is no justice, whom you know. So please, let's keep it up. Let's keep on raising our voice. And if we have to do something about it, let's collectively, because health is more precious than wealth. because I'm so thankful for what our speaker just, spoke about. And I wish we could all implement it. So please, students, speakers, let's keep it up. And I wish these voices will reach the government, the chiefs, and the entire Ghanaian citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Manuel. Yeah, so I call on any of our speakers to answer Lord Nette's question. Thank you.
You see, okay, let me be very brief here. If the gold board wants to know who has sold the gold to them, you see, because the gold board registers gold buyers and they buy and sell. So when a buyer has brought gold to the gold board, I don't know whether the certification of that gold, where it was mined, who mined it, and those kind of documentation reflects that. If it does, then they would know whether the guy who is selling the gold to them bought it from the illegal gold miners or not. But this is some kind of an arrangement or some kind of a mechanism, paperwork that has to be done so the person would declare where he got the gold from. Whether this is workable in our country or not, I've not had time to talk to people on the gold board, but I think that there should be a mechanism to identify where you got the gold from. It's done in diamonds, it's done in other precious minerals, and we can do it also here in Ghana. So we differentiate illegal Galamsey gold from the legal small-scale mining gold. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mafo. Yeah, so I will give 2 more minutes. Yeah, so I'll ask Awula and Dr. Alex Kofi Appiah to ask their questions. Please, 1 minute each. Thank you. So Awula, please unmute. Okay, Awula, if we cannot hear you, then Dr. Kofi, can you take the floor?
Yeah, so mine is not a question. It's just
Okay.
a comment that I want to bring across. So tomorrow I'll have the opportunity to speak as well.
Okay.
And I will touch on one specific area which we haven't talked about.
Okay.
And that area will shed a bit of light on the question as to whether, okay, how far is the government involved in all of this? And how are all these illegal miners selling gold and all of that? So it is a very, very critical area that we have to be looking at. And I think those of you who can join this call tomorrow, please do that, because I'm going to really, really highlight on that area, because it is one area that nobody is talking about. Yeah, even government institutions, nobody is talking about. It has become like a secret, but it's not a secret. It's very, very, very open. And therefore, tomorrow I'll talk about that, and I think that will hopefully open the eyes of many and help us all to understand where we have to be looking at.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kofi, for keeping the suspense so high for tomorrow's session. So I employ everyone who was here, go tell a friend, a family about today's session and join in your massive numbers. And the agenda still continues. So please put your name and your email addresses in the chat box so that we know that you really want to be one of the active change advocates, one of the active change agents, and an active agent for change. I mean, these were some of the words that I got from the session. So gradually we're coming to the end of our session. And then now the honors lies on me to just give a brief summary of what the speakers say. I'll try not to re-event what they have said, but just a glimpse of what I captured. So the first one has to do with Professor Frimpong Manso. He gave us a breakdown, the brief history of Galamsey, where it started from colonial rule and up to now, the situation we have at hand. And he did made mention of the key drivers that really caught, and I think almost all the 3 speakers made mention of those key drivers. That is greed, poverty, political interference, and then loss of common value. So this is one of the things that he also said. And then one of the things that he also did mention was that religious institution must get involved, advocacy and healing. And if you pay rapt attention to all what the speakers were saying, advocacy ran through all the speakers' presentation. He also did mention that a clean river is is better than more profit, and we must form new allies, and the new allies that we have to form is what the youth. You are involved. So I'll go straight to our second speaker, Dr. Sego. So he came up with the health issues that mining has on our communities. And sometimes we may think that it is just in the mining communities. No, it is also what related to everybody in Ghana. He also did mention that let me look for my other paper. Sorry. My third paper. Okay, so whilst I'm looking for my third paper, I've just missed out my papers. Sorry about that. Okay, so he also did mention about how mercury contaminates our water bodies, and not just our water bodies, it did also contaminate our soil. And then also the effect of the use of mercury in mining causes memory loss, fatigue, and then delayed development in children, kidney damages, hypertension. And then with pregnant women, it also for the development of the fetus, it also reduced brain development, and children perform poorly in school. He also spoke about the environmental toxins that kind of has an added layer to all the illegal mining that we have in our Ghana, our country, Ghana at the moment. And then he made comparison in Indonesia and the Amazon, the effect of what illegal mining happened to them. The effects are still glaring, and we shouldn't wait that we go through the same trajectory. We need to change it. He also highlighted on the consequences and then the lessons that we need to learn from Indonesia, especially the Amazon. And he came up with some solutions. The solution, the use of drone, it came out, if you pay rapt attention, he did make mention of a lot of, most of the responses he gave, the use of technology, and drone, he didn't spare, he actually advocated for the use of drones. And then a portable device for testing of mercury. And we also need a remote system in that was used in Namibia. And Dr. Mafo also did mention about the remote system in kind of identify where the illegal minings are. The regulatory bodies, he also did mention, also have adds to the solution. And then regular audit is also one of the things he did mention. So if we do not continue, because he says data, how do you advocate? How do you hold people responsible if you do not have evidence? And the evidence is through what the audit that needs to come. And he also did mention about community policing and then effective land rehabilitation. And then some of the policies that he made recommended, we should ban the use of mercury in illegal mining. There should be a rapid response alert, mandate health impact assessment. So he is like, he wants for us to have more research, database evidence, so that we can drive the advocacy, and also the use, integrate technology, and then empower the local community, and then employment for the youth. Now I go on to our third speaker, Dr. Mafo. So one of the things that he said that struck me, I didn't even know about it. And I was like, wow. So he did mention that currently with the 16 regions that we have in Ghana, we have 14 out of which illegal mining activities are happening. And this is alarming. So we wouldn't want to wait for our country, Ghana, to collapse, because that is the only country we have. We can't, I mean, those of us who are abroad knows the experience that you can never be accepted as one of them. The only place we have is Ghana. And if we do not save our Ghana, then we must count ourselves unfortunate with that incident. Okay. So he also said it is either a blessing or a curse. Which path are we willing to go? And then the youth, which path are we willing to go? Do we want to use it as a blessing, mine responsibly without damaging the environment or repairing the environment? Or we let it become a curse and we do it illegally, uncontrollably, that would have a disaster to our nation? No. He also took us to the hotspots that we should identify. And also, one of the things that he also made mention, that definition of illegal galamsey, and how illegal mining has dimensions to it. The effects are what? The air pollution, soil, and then water, and then the environmental. He also did mention the consequences of the pollution of the illegal mining. These are pollution of our water bodies, high turbidity, destruction of the forest, livelihoods are threatened, and then it took dozens of generations to get lands restored in countries that had effects of destruction to the environment. And then also said, what are some of the reasons why illegal mining is festering in Ghana? Has to do with economic reasons, and these are poverty and unemployment. And then he also did mention that there's a lot of gold in Ghana. How are we going to use it? Now the low turnout of agriculture, most cocoa farmers and oil palm plantation farmers are selling their lands, also due to economic reasons, because they are not getting high returns on their farming activities, and they rather get high returns when they sell their land to the illegal miners. So I'd like to end here, my summary here, and hand over to Bridget to take us to the announcements and announcements for the day. But before I hand over to Bridget, I'd like to remind all of you that in the chat box, we are supposed to fill in the questionnaire. So please, before you log out from today's session, kindly fill the Google form. We really beg you to do that. So Bridget, please take it over from me.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. You've done a really good job today. Once again, good evening to everyone, and thank you very much for your participation today. We have reached the conclusion of day one, as you already know, and this day one's critical webinar was themed Origins, Impacts, Ethics, and Sustainability of Illegal Mining. What a profoundly enriching and necessary discussion it has been. Over the past 3 hours, we have collectively peeled back the layers of the Galamsey crisis, starting with the deep ethical and moral dimensions that underpin these issues. I would like to acknowledge John Akon, SRC President for UDS. He has been very helpful. Now, on behalf of IGA Africa and our founder and president, Mr. Paul Abrokwa, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our speakers, Professor Frimpong Manson, Dr. Charles Sego Moses, and Dr. George Manfo, for your profound expertise and commitment to sharing knowledge have immeasurably enriched this discourse, inspiring us to push for policy reforms and sustainable solutions. Thank you for contributing your valuable time and analysis. To our moderator, Ms. Genevieve, thank you very much for your flawlessness navigating these discussions and ensuring the program flowed seamlessly. I really, really appreciate you very much. And most importantly, to you, our participants, thank you for joining us, for your thought-provoking questions, and for your commitment to the Pan-African ideal of fostering dialogue that translates into tangible benefits for our people. We look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow, Saturday, December 6th, for day 2, where our focus shifts to governance, policy, traditional leadership, and youth tech solutions, featuring speakers like P.L. Lumumba, Awula Sewa, and Prof. Ellis Owusu-Dabu. And we will also be listening to our profound Dr. Alex. He's very key in UTech, and we'll be hearing from him tomorrow. Please take note of any announcement that will be coming from our president concerning tomorrow's program. Thank you very much for participating. We really appreciate it. Over to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think Bridget has said it all. Now let's give everyone should just go onto the React, and then let's give all of them a big hand of applause. We can also open our cameras, our microphones, and then just give them a resounding clap, yeah, for a great delivery. We really appreciate you. Yeah, we look forward to tomorrow's session. And once again, please don't forget to fill in the Google form. And tomorrow, don't come alone. Come with a friend, come with a family.
Please, where's the Google form?
And come energized. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Where's the Google form? It's
Bye.
in the chat box, please. It's in the chat box.
Bye.
It's in the chat box.
Bye. Bye. Before you exit,
Please, tomorrow we are starting at exactly 3 o'clock.
Okay,
exactly 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Please fill in the form before you exit. Fill the form before you exit. I'll be the last person to leave, so I'm ensuring that everybody fill before they leave. And I continue waving, yeah?
Please, reshare the form for us.
They should reset. Okay. President, please reshare the link.
Sir.
Yeah, please. I've just placed the link back in the chat box so you can do that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's do that. I'll be the last to leave. So I'm waiting for you to fill the form before you go.
Okay.
Please share, fill the forms. Thank you for filling the forms. So I have 39 on. Please fill. Yeah, 38. Thank you. Are you feeling? Are you filling the forms?
Yes.
Ibrahim,
yes.
Yeah, good. Ibrahim, Lambon, Gloria, and CSS 007923. I like your name. I hope you fill in the forms. Abdullah Rahman, Fireman, Techno, BG6M. We have 34, yeah. And Bada Gifty, Kiddies. I hope you also fill in. Fireman. Baba Washiru.
Okay.
I hope you are feeling. And Falai, Safas. I hope you are filling the forms. Please fill before you leave. Yeah. And Ugles. Wow, nice name, Ugles. I hope I got the pronunciation right. Pios. Isaka, thank you for filling. Emisa. Awimba Aka, thank you for filling the forms. Christina, thank you for filling the forms. Rich Love, thank you for filling the forms. Ifa, thank you for filling the forms. Stephen, thank you. Hamida, thank you. Samson, thank you. Abdullahi, thank you. Amwa, thank you. Messi, thank you. Irene, thank you. Messi, thank you. Amwa, Abdullahi, Samson, yeah. So when you fill, then you can just exit. When you finish, you just exit.
Hello, please, I'm finding it complicated to do.
It is complicated.
Yes, on my phone.
On your phone. Okay, you know
Yes,
what?
please.
Copy the link, yeah, and then put it on your laptop and feel if it's complicated to fill on your phone. So just copy it and then send it to yourself in your email and do that.
All right, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Gloria, thank you for filling the forms. Thank you. Are you done filling, Gloria?
No, please.
Okay, then continue filling. Samson. Stephen. James, thank you for filling. Prosper, thank you for filling. Isahaku, thank you for filling.